I've been waiting for orders and it's kind of tough on weekdays. Most of the orders that come in, people don't tip, and you can tell that because the base pay is $3, and if DoorDash only pays you $3 or let's say $4, you can pretty much tell that the customer did not enter a tip. So if it proposes like $3.50 for 4 miles or whatever, you shouldn't accept it, you know? So what I'm really waiting for, what I'm really hoping for is to see orders that offer more. Because if it's like a $6 to $10 order and I only need to drive maybe 1 to 4 miles, that tells me that the customer did enter a decent tip. In other words, you only want to work with generous people. Some people don't tip. It's just not in their nature, right? But what our goal is here on DoorDash is that we want to maximize the amount of money that we earn per mile. And if you need to drive long distances to make small money, guess what? You're not going to get to $2 per mile, $3 per mile. What I'm trying to say is that you need to be really mindful with what you accept and what not. In fact, you need to say no to most things so you can say yes to the right things. Does that sound familiar to you? It sounds very familiar to me. I had to learn this too.
Don't forget to like and subscribe. It only takes 2 seconds.
Okay, I want to give you some really hot tips right now. So if you have something to write, if you have a pen and a piece of paper, use it right now. That's something that I've learned. I have not really gotten that information from watching other YouTubers. Maybe I haven't watched enough videos and that's why I didn't get access to that information. But what I have tried, what I have tested, I'm a marketing guy, I'm all about testing. What I have tested is if I am outside, if I am parked right outside the restaurant where I want to pick up the order, then what DoorDash does is it automatically refers the order to me because it's based on proximity. And because I am the closest to the restaurant, I'm the most likely to get the order. If of course there's another 2 or 3 people parked here as well, then it's probably going to be a coin flip, you know? If there's 2 people, then it's 50-50. But as long as I'm closer than the other person, I have a very high chance to get the order. Like for instance, right now, take a look at this. I got a $7 order from McDonald's because I'm parked right outside McDonald's. Let me show you proof for that. I'm not sure if you can see that, but I'm parked right outside McDonald's and I got a $7 order and I just need to drive 0.9 miles, which comes down to a $7 per mile gross profit. And what I will do now, and I have tested this like I told you, I'm not gonna deliver this order, I'm gonna pick it up and it's gonna take maybe 30 to 60 seconds. There's not a lot of people in line here. Then I'm gonna deliver the order, and you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna come back to this restaurant, to McDonald's again, and I'm gonna wait again. You need to be patient, okay? Wait, I would say 5 to 10 minutes at the very minimum, and it's highly recommended that you place yourself in an area with more restaurants. You don't wanna be at a McDonald's where there's nothing around, but if you're in an area with say 5 to 10 restaurants where people order from, for instance, McDonald's, Burger King, Panda Express, Chili's, Applebee's, you know, if you have all these restaurants around you, there's a super high probability that you will get an order. But what I recommend is that it's not a hotspot, because that's tip number 2. Do not stay within a hotspot all the time. So what they will do is they think if DoorDash suggests a hotspot area, meaning that a lot of orders were placed within that area recently, so what they're going to do is they're going to think that they're going to get orders from that area because they think just because a lot of orders were placed, they're automatically going to get orders if they're within that area. But it's all about supply and demand. Like if there's 15 Dashers outside McDonald's or outside Panda Express, and there's only 4 orders within a 30-minute time window, or even like a 15-minute time window, then what's going to happen is that 4 out of the 15 people that wait there are going to get the orders, right? But it may not be you if everyone is at exactly the same location. And that's why I want you to be a little bit more creative. I want you to be a little bit more thinkative. Like, go to some areas that usually don't show up as hotspots. And those are usually areas with fewer restaurants, but still restaurants where people order from. Go to an area that has maybe 3 to 5. You're probably going to have less competition unless more people think the same way, people get smarter, then we could be in trouble, right? But that's what I have noticed, and it works. So I dropped off this McDonald's order, and I think there's a couple of lessons to be learned from this delivery. First of all, if you're parked right outside the restaurant that accepts DoorDash, your chances of getting an order before anyone else are much greater than if you place yourself in a random area. You also have to drive then to the restaurant and you have to deliver it. Those are all extra miles, right? So if you want to be the first to get the order, place yourself outside a high in demand restaurant and just wait there for 5 to 10 minutes. You just have to be patient a little bit, not a lot, not like an hour, but 5 to 10 minutes. And oftentimes you're going to get the order. Another tip that I wanted to give you is, because you're going to ask yourself a question, okay, Jerry, if I'm waiting outside the restaurant sometimes for maybe 10 minutes, what do I do in the meantime? Do I just stare? Do I just observe people? What do I do? So what I do is I listen to inspirational, motivational, entrepreneurial audios, or I read books. Got a new book here, The Subtle Art of Not Giving Up. And I'm reading this book, even if you can only read like a page or two while you wait to receive the next order, you have something to think about as well. Like, you're training your brain. If you read books, you improve your grammar, your vocabulary, you increase your knowledge, you become smarter, you become more aware of the subject. Even if not everything you read applies to you personally, you have to pick out what applies. What do you agree to? I don't agree to everything I read in any given book, because you don't need to. You pick out what you like, and that's what really matters, That's what matters so much. So what we're going to do now, we're going to go back to McDonald's, same restaurant, same girl, and let's see if we get another order. I really recommend tracking your mileage, because sometimes you think like you're making money, you're doing the right thing, but you're not really tracking, you're not really collecting data. And as long as you're not collecting data, you're only guessing. And if you're guessing, you're just not going to get very far in business in general. When it comes to DoorDash, something that I'm now doing is I'm tracking like how many miles I drive every day and how much I make. And this is a brutal experiment where you have to be completely honest with yourself about the miles you drive. You can't sugarcoat it, because it's all about your profitability. Okay, so if I have to drive 5 miles to make $7, and I also have to drive back 5 miles, so it's no longer just 5 miles, right? It's 10 miles for $7. With my car here, okay, I have a Chrysler 200 2013, okay, built in 2013. I now have a grand total of 79,199 miles on that car. And I did a value check, okay? I did an appraisal, an online appraisal, it was free. Every 10,000 miles, my car loses $500 in value, okay? That may be very different for your car, depending on if you have a new car. If you have a very old car, it may not go down $500 in value with every 10,000 miles that you drive, right? If you have a newer car, the value will decrease even more, right? I have kind of like an in-between car, and I kind of like that, because I believe new cars are for idiots, because you're going to lose at least 20% the first year. At least some cars lose as much as 30% the first year. It's crazy to buy a new car, especially if you're driving Lyft, Uber, or DoorDash. Makes absolutely no sense. You want to have a really bad car that loses as little value as possible. So mileage is my top recommendation. I rather sit in my car for like 5 or 10 minutes and not get an order than to drive and make $1 a mile or 50 cents a mile. I rather make $3 to $4 per mile and drive fewer miles, because I'm doing good to my car, using less gasoline, and I'm actually making more money. Plus, I can work on something I appreciate and value. So it makes a lot of sense if you ask me. That's a very hot tip. Follow it. All right, let me give you another lesson on acceptance rate. Your acceptance rate should be low. Why should it be low? You're probably thinking, well, it's bad for your reputation, or DoorDash may not give you as many orders if you have a low acceptance rate, because it means you're not interested in delivering as many orders as another person. And that's how a lot of people think. A lot of people think they'll make more money by accepting more orders, where in reality, you have to decline most orders so you can get the juicy orders, the hot ones that pay a lot per mile. My acceptance rate is 20%, and that's probably still high. But generally speaking, my acceptance rate on weekends is higher because DoorDash offers the base pay of at least $3 plus another $3 to $4 on top of that, and then also tip, right? So on weekends, I only accept orders of at least, I would say, $7 to $8. That's the minimum I want to get paid. But oftentimes it's like 10 to 15, sometimes even more than that. And that's what you want to aim for. If you accept every order that comes in, you're never going to be able to optimize it. Never. So follow this as well.